Today's Sunshine Note is titled, The Man Who Walked on the Moon. As they were walking along the road, a man said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus replied, Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Luke chapter 9 verse 57 and 58. I can remember impatiently standing in line with my treasured National Geographic book called The Moon and Beyond tucked under my arm. It was the closest I was ever going to get to being next to a real astronaut, James Irwin, a man who had actually walked on the moon during the Apollo 15 mission. I had already been wowed by the speech and slideshow of personal photos and memories that he'd given for the past hour. And finally, the school's principal announced that Mr. Irwin would sign autographs after the lecture. I stood there watching everyone else rustling around for something for him to write on. But I was ready. I had a book with a photo of the lunar lander and even a picture of Irwin ready and waiting. When I finally got up to him, he smiled and I handed him the book. After he signed it, he mentioned for me to step around the table, and I handed a camera to someone to snap a photo of us. And there I was, immortalized forever next to a man who had been somewhere I could never go, as close to a celebrity as I was ever going to get. This kind of celebrity view of Jesus was very much the same in his own day. People flocked to him simply because of the stories they'd heard about him. Today's verse shows one of those instances as some groupie frantically cries out, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus doesn't get caught up in the celebrity craze that followed him. At first, it just seems as though he's playfully using images from nature to say that he doesn't have a place to stay. But in that day, the phrase birds of the air was symbolic of the Gentiles and Romans who had taken over the land. And fox is a term that many apply to King Herod, who was placed as king of the land by the Roman authorities. So in a sideways manner, Jesus is actually saying to the man who called out that if he wants to follow him, then he has to be prepared to stand against the Romans and the elected officials, because he's destined to be not a powerful political figure, but a rejected one. You might ask yourself why you are following Jesus. Are you doing it just because you were born in it, or because it's expected of you? Regardless of your reasons, realize that following Jesus isn't always safe, but it's definitely an adventure worth living. May God bless you today.